Hey guys, what's up? This is Casey. This is Coach Tom. This is Shot Science Overtime number 115. This is our live show that we do every weekend on Sundays, 1 p.m. Pacific time. It's a chance for us to kind of give you guys a topic that we think is going to help you guys develop your game, while we also answer your questions that you might have during the week about how to develop your game personally. So how this works is that this is not really like our regular videos. This is an hour-long show where we can talk directly with you guys. So what we do is we open it up with this topic, which today is why making your free throws is so important. And while we're talking about that, you guys are going to send us your questions asking us anything related to basketball. It can be on shooting, dribbling, passing, defense, your coach, tryouts, developing your athleticism, whatever it is. Send us those questions and we'll do our best to answer as many of those as possible. And, maybe give you guys a coaching perspective that you might not have otherwise. Yeah. So send us those questions. And while you're out there doing that, also go tell your friends and family to watch that are into basketball, because that helps us grow the team and helps us maybe get some other guests on and everything. In the past, we've had the professor on, we've had Danny Green from the San Antonio Spurs. We've had college coaches and also coaches that help get kids into college programs that are part of traveling teams and clubs and things like that. So if you want more people like that, help us out and share these types of videos, these live shows with your friends and family. And be here at 1 p.m. Pacific time on Sundays. That helps as well. So today's topic that we're going to jump right into, and if you want to send us those questions, I have to tell you where to send them to us. You can find us on Twitter. We are at Shot Science on Twitter. That's the best place to reach us. You can also send them to Facebook, Google+, here in the Q&A app here on Google+, and also in the YouTube live stream of this video. And we will try to get to as many as possible. Okay. So today's topic is why making free throws or your free throws is so important. A lot of people might think that it's just the fact that you're missing out on those points. Oh, I missed that two free shots that I get. I missed both of them, or I missed one of them, and I didn't get the 1 point or the 2 points. But it's deeper than that, right?
Yeah, it is a lot deeper than that. One of the things that's really important for us to think about here is that you want to accumulate as many points as you can in the course of the game. And certainly free throws are an important part of that. One of the things that our coach, which I really believe in as well, he tells the kids that we want to make more free throws than the other team shoots. And that way we're going to have an accumulation of points that's going to probably give us enough to win. And too often what happens is that if you never get to the line, it usually is saying this, that you're not being very aggressive with the basketball. And if you get through a half of basketball, let's say, and you've only been to the line 3 times and you've maybe taken 5 or 6 shots, then that's not going to be very productive for you point wise. And so it's real important for you to consider that when you want to get to the basket more.
Okay, so free throws, that's like the base type of thing. Yep. Okay, so they're free, uncontested shots. Yeah, nobody's there to knock you out. Nobody's there to put their hand in your face. These are free. Okay, but the next level of it is the fact that if they can take the option of fouling you as opposed to taking the 2 points that you might get otherwise, then why wouldn't they take the option where they foul you? Because, instead of you getting the 2 points, they're going to put you on the line and really make you sweat it. And maybe you walk out with 1 point, or maybe you do get 2 points, but there's a chance that you're not going to get those if you're a poor free throw shooter.
Right.
And so that's kind of like the theory behind the Hack-a-Jordan or Hack-a-Shaq, is that they want to put those guys on the line because, number one, it's kind of a better option than them just throwing the ball down and getting 2 points and going down the other end, or getting 2 points and going to the free throw line. They'll foul them before they even get a chance to shoot, put them on the line. And essentially what they're doing is they may give up 1 point if they're lucky, the guy that's shooting is lucky, but they're going to get the possession back because it typically is going to go back to the defensive team.
Right.
And, psychologically, it kind of knocks those guys out because they're worried about making their free throws and they're sweating it every time down the floor. So you really need to not put yourself in that position, number one. Now, the next level of it is that they can play you differently when, you get the ball in the post or whatever it is, if you're driving into the paint, because if they know that you're going to make the free throws, they're not going to play you as aggressively. Because if you go up make it, and they foul you, then it's going to be an and one situation. Sure. You're going to get 3 points out of it instead of just maybe the 2, or maybe they foul you and you don't make it and they put you on the line. You still get 2 points because you're going to make those shots. But if they know that you're not going to make those free throws, then they'll just foul you and play you very aggressively, or maybe not foul you at all, but play you more aggressively. Right. And so they kind of shut down the option for you to make those kind of easier shots. So if you can make them, they're going to play you a different way than if you're not going to make them.
Well, yeah, and it's become such a strategic thing, particularly the NBA, whereas they will foul a player that is 60 feet from the basketball to stop the clock. And that's an important part of all of that too. But the important thing to remember on the free throws is the fact that they are free. There is nobody there contesting you, and nobody's supposed to be talking to you while you're shooting as well. But there's a lot of that goes on, and officials oftentimes just kind of ignore it. But they're not supposed to be talking to you. It is free, and they're not supposed to be any interruptions in it as well. And the outcome of the game very often depends on how well a team shoots their free throws.
Well, I mean, it's just so many levels of why you should be proficient at it. I mean, there's no excuse to shoot 50% from the free throw line.
Yeah.
I mean, that is just, it's, I mean, Dwight Howard, he's shooting worse than that in the playoffs.
Right.
And, it just makes you a liability, because especially as a big man, you typically are going to have your position under the basket. And there's a high probability that you're going to get fouled on most of the shots that you take. So if that's the situation, why are you not the best free throw shooter on the team? And a lot of people think, oh, well, it's because, he's got big hands, or he has this body form, or it's psychological and all that stuff. Well, okay, body form stuff is kind of that's an excuse.
Yeah.
Because there's plenty of guys that are big guys that can make shots. I mean, you can look at Dirk Nowitzki, you can look at Kevin Durant. Those guys are the same size as all these Dwight Howards and DeAndre Jordan guys. Even some real big guys like Hibbert. I mean, he's a pretty good free throw shooter too, and he's 7'2" or whatever he is. Yeah. So that's not an excuse. Typically, it comes down to just not putting in the effort in practice. Maybe not practicing effectively is another thing, or consistently, or your form is just garbage, which a lot of the time is what those guys suffer from.
Yeah, there's another part of it that I kind of think has to be play a role in how poorly people shoot. Every team, every professional team, every college team, and probably most high school teams have people who really coach shooting. And I would think that if you're having difficulty with it and you're not performing and getting better, it's because you're not really listening to what these people are telling you. One of the things I was reading recently was an article on Rick Barry, who used to play for the Warriors. And Rick used to shoot the ball 2 hands underhand. In fact,
free throw.
A free throw. Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I'm going to digress here for a second.
Hurry though.
Okay. When I was a kid, which wasn't yesterday, but a long time ago, but people used to shoot the ball more with 2 hands when I was a kid. And I kind of learned how to shoot like that until I got to high school. And then that was the time when things are changing. And, the shooting with 1 hand and shooting jump shots with 1 hand was something that came about in the early 40s under the leadership of 2 guys who didn't know that they were doing this. One of them was Hank Lucetti from Stanford University, and the other was a guy by the name of Kenny Sailors from Wyoming, and they kind of were leading the development of shooting with just 1 hand. And back in I think it was maybe the late 70s or somewhere in there, Rick Barry started to shoot his free throws underhand. When I was a kid, we learned initially to shoot the ball with 2 hands underhand. And then as the time changed and the game developed, then everything came to a 1-hand thing. Well, that's just the evolution of shooting free throws and shooting in general. Now, the thing that's real important is that if you've got something there that there's not going to be any interruptions in what you're doing, and all you have to do is stand there and just shoot an effective shot, you should be able to hit that 75% of the time, even if you're not a very good shooter.
Well, I mean, the thing is that you cannot put it off onto anybody else other than yourself.
Nope, that's right.
All these guys, they shoot terribly, or I mean, not even just these NBA guys. I'm talking about in general. Most people these days shoot terribly from the free throw line, and it is 100% on them.
Yeah.
You know, plenty of people say, "Oh, well, the coach doesn't do this or that." It doesn't matter what the coach does. He's not shooting the free throws. That's 100% on you. So you have to invest in your own success and be the one that, you know, maybe you seek out help. Maybe you're working yourself and being your own best coach. And you can do that through like videotaping yourself and watching videos, having people help you and give you tips on what makes your shot better. But, you know, just sitting back and being a terrible free throw shooter limits you on all those different levels that we talked about, because you're not getting the points. The other team can use and abuse you for their benefit. And you're letting your team down. And, you know, somebody like Dwight Howard, you know, you can see in the playoffs where it is greatly affecting the outcome of the performance of his team. I mean, they're either having very close games that they're winning by game winners, and those are kind of comes down to luck a lot of the times, which is not good, or they're losing the game. And, you know, there's a lot of times during that Clippers series and even now in the Warriors series where, you know, he's missing out on over 10 points plus just because he misses free throws. And I mean, you cannot shoot 40% from the free throw line.
Right. Well, and even I think that who's the fellow that DeAndre Jordan? I think he's shooting like 53%, of which, you know, that's not a good percentage at that level. One of the things that is so important about playing at a professional level is that you perform at a professional level, shooting, defending, all of those kinds of things. And some of the guys aren't doing it. And I think that, like Casey says, they're not doing it because they're not putting in the right practice time. They're not getting the right instruction, but mostly they're just not putting any time into it. And I find that abysmal because here they are, most of the guys there being paid millions of bucks per year, and then they can't make a friggin' free throw.
Well, I mean, here's the other thing too, is that, I mean, you are on that professional level or whatever. I mean, but that's terrible for anybody. And, you know, the thing about it is that, you know, even if you're shooting 80%, which I think that's an okay kind of percentage, but you should never be satisfied with 80% because it's not 100%. So you should still be trying to push yourself, even though you're making a pretty good percentage. I mean, I would say that if you are shooting 70% from the free throw line, you are kind of at the low end of even acceptability. But if you're shooting 80%, okay, that's getting better. But you should really be pushing yourself towards that 100%. And there's really no reason why you should shoot less than 80% from the free throw line. I mean, it is all about getting your shot so that it's efficient, repetitious, and accurate and consistent. Because, I mean, that's really what it's all about. I mean, of course, everybody's going to miss a free throw. Even the best free throw shooters like Stephen Curry and you know, guys like that are going to miss free throws. Steve Nash.
Well, but James Harden has got to be one of the best free throw shooters in the whole conference this year. I've only seen him in the last 5 or 6 games. I've seen him miss one free throw.
Well, I don't know what his percentages are or whatever.
It's really good.
Really good. I mean, one of the things is that, you know, James Harden uses his ability to draw contact and fouls to get to the free throw line. Think about if he was Dwight Howard and he was doing that, it would make no sense. So, I mean, James Harden does get a lot of points on the board just because of creating contact and getting to the free throw line. So those are his extra points, but he's also penalizing the other team because they're getting fouls on them as well that are being assessed to them and the team, which eventually gets you to the line again when there's the bonus situation comes up. So, I mean, that's somebody using it kind of the way that you should be able to use those situations as opposed to the other team using it against you.
Well, yeah. And, you know, a lot of college teams particularly, and I can't speak for the pros because I don't watch that many pro basketball games, but the thing that you see is that they're attacking the basket in almost all games. You take a look at a team like Kentucky, and they've got these long athletic guys, and they're attacking the basket. They don't settle for those shots from the perimeter. And so that's an important way that coaches look at how they're going to play the game. They're going to attack the basket to get to the free throw line, but even as important almost is to get your players in foul trouble as a result of all of that. And so being able to shoot free throws is really important. being able to keep from getting those fouls on you, that's another problem.
Well, I mean, just consider the fact that if you want to be a valuable player that is not a liability for your team, is someone that the coach can turn to, make sure, and a person that scores more points. I mean, that's really the bottom line about it. Scores more points and can change the way the defense plays you. Make your free throws. I mean, it's really that easy. Spend the time making it happen. It's one of those super important things, and it also translates over to your other aspects of shooting.
Yeah.
I mean, it is form shooting, essentially.
That's all it is just form shooting. And there's a certain rhythm that everybody wants to put into that, and that everybody has a routine that they like to use as a way to settle themselves down and relax, and all of that's really important. And then breathing is an important part of that as well. The other thing that comes into play is the free throw is really important too in this regard, is that at the end of game, when you've got a game that is being decided by 1, 2, or 3 points, something like that, and that the other team is going to be fouling, then you want to make sure that you've got guys on the floor who can shoot free throws. And you won't find the Dwight Howards and the Derek Jordans and people like that on the floor in those situations.
I think it's DeAndre Jordan, but
it is DeAndre.
Yeah. But the real bottom line is that there's no excuse. Nope. Make your free throws. Yep. Okay. And we've talked about it in the past, putting together kind of your routine and all that. But the key to it all is efficiency, which you can kind of turn into repetition, and consistency, which makes your shot more accurate.
Yep.
So that's kind of the bottom line, is that it's not just missing points. It's not just missing out on points or, whatever, turning the ball over. I mean, it's really how they play you and how they can take advantage of you. It's a psychological thing. There's so many levels of it. So you shouldn't be shooting less than 80%. That's barely satisfying. But that's really what you should have in your mind. Keep working on it. Don't be satisfied with any percentage less than 100%.
Yeah, right.
Okay. So are we good on that?
Sure.
Okay, so if you guys have more questions about free throws and things like that, just let us know in the comments, and we'll try to get to as many of those questions as possible. If you have other questions, send them over to us. Best place is on Twitter, where we are at Shot Science. You can also find us on Facebook, Google+, here in the Q&A app, also in the stream here for the YouTube live stream of this. And make sure you follow us on Snapchat and Instagram, all the places. We are Shot Science on all those things.
Yeah.
And go tell your friends too, because that helps us grow the team and have better live shows with more questions, more interesting questions. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to jump into the questions now. Keep sending them over. But the first one we're going to go into is Jason Daly's from the comments here. He says, "Hey, Coach, would you say that dribbling 2 balls is more effective for improving ball handling than just dribbling 1, assuming that you train at the same intensity when doing both? Thanks, guys."
Well, in my opinion, using 2 balls is just another mechanism to help you develop your ball skills. I don't know that it's better or it's worse than something else.
Well,
I think
part of the package.
It's part of the package. You do some of these, and together collectively, they help to develop your skills with the basketball.
I mean, of course, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket.
No.
With anything. You want to have a kind of variety of ways that you approach your training. It's just like we wouldn't say, okay, you want to work on your conditioning, jump rope.
Yeah.
And leave it at that.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that's not the way that it goes. Yeah. I mean, you have to, put all these little things in your toolbox. So, okay, you got the 2-ball drills, you have the stationary drills where you work on your ball handling. Maybe you have the dynamic drills, then you work on your actual, dribble attacks, right. And then you work on your ball control. I mean, there's so many things that you add in there. Don't do just one thing. I mean, of course, 2-ball dribbling is great for coordination and kind of ambidextrous abilities, right. But you have to do other things too.
Yeah.
Okay. So next one is from Madeline Bokic, who says, "Hey, Coach, I'm trying to change my shooting form. How can I work on it without changing it too much and still be able to make as many shots with my other form? I'm not trying to change it too drastically." Okay, you can't have 2 forms going on at the same time.
Yeah, it's hard for us to take and tell you which way to turn on that. The one thing that comes to my mind when I hear this is this: pick one and stay with it. why do you want to change the other one? If you want to change it, is it a major change or is it just a couple of minor things? If it's a couple of minor things, make those minor changes and go on with what you typically do anyway. The thing is that there should be a reason for you to make the change. Now, what is the reason? You're not making shots, you're not getting shots off. There has to be some reason for you, and a valid reason, before you get into changing anything.
And you should only do these changes typically in the off season. You don't want to do this when you're kind of in season,
right?
Unless it's like a super minor thing, or you're trying to get back to what you were doing before.
Right.
But if you're trying to overhaul everything, it's never a good thing to do while you're in season. That's an off season type of thing.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is that with any of these skills that you're trying to develop, it doesn't matter if it's shooting or ball handling or whatever it is, you have to put in the consistent, diligent effort to make the changes and then get the repetitions doing it, because that turns it into muscle memory.
Right.
If you're trying to do two different things, I'm going to try to have my old shooting form and then work on this new shooting form. That doesn't work. No. You have to really kind of just go all in on whatever it is.
Well, there's this thought occurred to me. I was listening to Casey, is that when I have a new student come in who's maybe a little bit older, maybe they're 17, 18 years old, and they're concerned about their shot and they want to take and change it. Well, the very first thing that we do is we look at what they do presently, and then we'll find one or two or three things in there that we suggest that they change, and the reason we tell them why we think it would make it change, be better to do that. We don't just go in and wholesale just change everything. What we do is that we start with a young person, and their shot is nowhere near where it needs to be. Is okay, we'll start from ground zero there. But if you come in and you've got, let's say you have a fair stroke, but you could have a great stroke if you just take and did 1, 2, and 3 other things. And so I don't think it makes much sense to just wholesale change it when you're maybe a little older. I would go ahead and see if you can pick out what it is that you need to change to make you more effective. And, we encourage people to send us videos so that we can kind of check those things out and help you. Don't be afraid to do that.
Okay, this one's from Johnny Damon, who says, "Hey, Coach, should I continue to play football and basketball to get more athletic, or should I focus just on basketball?" All right, number one, we're going to say that it is not up to anybody but you to make those kind of decisions, right, whether you do anything with your life. We can't, tell you to do football or go all in on basketball. It's what works for you. The other thing is that I don't think, and I think we kind of agree, is that you don't really play these sports to specifically develop athleticism. No. You develop your athleticism doing other things, whether it's footwork drills or conditioning or whatever it is, working on your vertical, kind of outside of what would be your specific sport that you're working on. Excuse me. And so I would say, if you're really concerned with developing your athleticism, go check out stuff like our vertical jump training videos and the vertical jump handbook. You can also check out Alan Stein's stuff. That's kind of what his focus is developing athleticism. But if you like playing football and you like playing basketball, then you got to figure out how to make that work and kind of work on your priorities. If you just want to focus on one thing, that's fine too. If you're worried about athleticism, that's another level of something to consider. So that's not something we can just tell you. Okay, go
all in your court, though. All in your court.
Yeah. Here's one from Andij Luxama, who says, "I can never make my shots. They're always all over the place."
Well,
that's too vague for us to really give you a specific answer.
It is, but if they're all over the place, you need to be examining what it is that you're doing. And I would just suggest that maybe you take a look at our videos. We have a shooting playlist that kind of describes the kinds of things that are important elements in your shot, and start reworking it from the beginning. Oftentimes what happens is that you don't really have any shooting instruction. You just kind of put it together watching other people, and maybe you have things in there that are really destructive to your being successful.
Well,
so I would start over if I were you, and I would find somebody or some place to pattern yourself after. That doesn't mean be just like Mike.
No, it's take the fundamentals and build from there.
And make sure that they're strong and they work for you.
And the other thing is that you're saying you're all over the place. that usually means that you're lacking consistency in whatever you're doing,
Yeah.
and you're kind of, you need to work towards being efficient and repetitious.
Right.
And one of the things that you might want to do is go check out our videos called Fix Your Shot. And that might give you some ideas on what's going on. Maybe you're finishing to your left or to your right, or you're finishing by pulling down on the shot. I mean, there's so many things you could be doing. Go check that out. See if that maybe helps you in figuring out exactly what's going wrong there. And then you can kind of make some decisions, and maybe we can help you from there as well too. Okay. This one says, hey, coach, it's from Eno Ludwig, who says, hey, coaches, next season I'm playing point guard for my basketball team, and a lot of people say I'm good in handling the ball, but I'm bad at passing the ball. Do you have any tips for me? Thanks for answering my question. I really like your show. I'm watching from Germany.
Okay.
Hello
awesome. In Germany. But, the thought that kind of comes to my mind here is that
got to work on it.
you work on that just like you do anything else. And one of the things that I think gets people into difficulty when they're passing the basketball is they telegraph passes with their eyes, and they look right at the person, and then they go ahead and make the pass. And the defensive people, they're not dumb. And when they see you looking, then you go ahead and pass it, and they step out and knock the ball away or take it away. Then that makes you look really bad. Now, I don't know if that's what's going on here, but the thing that I think would be good is we have kind of a little a video on passing, and one of the things is this: we want to fake a pass to make a pass. And what we're talking about there with this is that we want to fake it in a direction that we do not intend to go to, and it can be either a chest pass, overhead pass, or a bounce pass, and then actually make the pass where we want to go with it. Fake it to the right, throw it to the left.
Fake high, pass low, fake low, pass high.
Yeah, and those kinds of things will help you a lot. A lot of young players, and I don't know how old you are, but a lot of young players are just like automatons. They take the ball and they turn, and they know they're supposed to pass the ball to that person without even being aware where the defense is. They throw it, it's intercepted, it's going the other way.
Or they force shot or force passes, or they get themselves in trouble because they force what their offensive kind of attack is, or whatever.
Or they'll see a pass and they'll wait too long, and that pass is not there, and they still want to make it anyway. And
that's what I mean. That's forcing it.
Yeah, it gets knocked away or stolen. And so I think that idea, there probably would help you a lot. Fake a pass to make a pass. Go check out that
work
video.
on it. Make your passes snappy. Only bounce pass when that makes sense and you're able to get it off. Don't look directly at the guy that you're passing to. I mean, there's so many things that you can be working on.
Yeah, there really is.
And unless we actually see what you're doing, it's hard for us to diagnose what's going on. Okay, this one is from Joe Hannon, who's at Johannan H on Twitter. He says, Howard and Jordan both have decent form. How is their shot so bad? I hear they do great in practice. Okay, they don't have decent form.
No.
Both of those guys have major problems. Dwight Howard, he does the gooseneck thing. I know DeAndre Jordan does kind of a bunch of hitchy things inside of his shot. Every point that you have a sticking point, you're going to lose power. And both of those guys, they're doing all these things like snapping their wrist and not finishing towards the basket. I mean, there's so many things that are going wrong with their shot. It is not just a psychological thing. And, I think a lot of people they say, well, we're making a bunch in practice or whatever it is. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. A lot of times those guys say that just so that they kind of, are more credible at what they're doing. But also, even if they are, it's not translating the game. So they're doing something wrong. The repetitions aren't there. They're not confident in their shot. If you're not confident in whatever skill that you have, it's not going to be there when you need it. So, I mean, they have so many things that are going on, and their shooting form is not good.
No, it's not good.
Okay, so next one is from our buddy Nate Thompson at NateT_AF, who's here all the time. He says, how can I be more effective off ball? Right now I'm playing a lot of wing play at either the 2 or the 3, but mostly the 2. What types of things should I work on, and where should I position myself when playing these spots? P.S. I know not to worry about positions too much, but I'm playing a lot of these spots right now.
Well, you're talking about the person who is on the off-ball side away from the basketball. Well, there's things that you really need to be considered about. I was coaching up a young guy yesterday, and I saw him play last weekend, and he stood around too much. He was very stationary. And so we worked on him on flashing to the middle from the 4 spot. You can flash to the middle on from the wing, from the block, from the low corner.
I mean, it's really just simple moving without the ball.
Well, there's a lot of it has to do with that, is moving without the basketball and keeping the defense on that offside busy too. One of the things that I think really pays good dividends is I don't know what your coach has you doing, but you go up and screen for the person who is at the point, and they can come off of that, and you can replace them there. You can make cuts, and we've talked about these cuts before. The cuts that we really like are
fill in the gaps. I mean, before we get into those, but fill in the gaps, hit the open places on the floor. I mean, there's go in behind the defense, flashing the post. All that stuff is great. Flashing at the elbow, flashing at the short corner. But the things that you're talking about are the L cut, the V cut, and the backdoor cut.
Now, let me interject real quick, Rick. The thing that's really important about these cuts, the L and the V, and we have several variations of each one of those, but all of those cuts are actually executed while the ball is on the offside of the floor, so that when the ball is swung back to you, you've created an opening for yourself. If you wait until the point guard has the basketball, or the guard on your side has the basketball, and then you start going through all of these to create a lead, it's going to take too long, and you're not going to be successful. So you need to do the work before the ball starts to reverse to your side to get yourself open.
All right.
Hang on. I'm sorry. The other thing that you can do is do an awful lot of screening as an offside player, screening for the guy who has the ball, screening for someone who doesn't have the basketball either. I mean, so there's lots of things that can keep you busy there.
Yeah, just be an active player.
Yep.
Okay, this one is from Fisherman, who is at Plivage Climb on Twitter. I'm sorry, that's a complicated one. He says, I'm a left-handed one-motion shooter. My shot tends to miss to the right. Any tips to fix that? Yeah, I mean, if you're shooting from the left-hand side and you're missing to the right, that means that you're probably finishing or following through to that side of the rim, right?
That's the major problem. There's another one that is one that people don't ever really think about very much, and that is your assist hand, more commonly known as the guide hand, which we very seldom ever refer to, is that when you shoot the ball, the finger on that opposite hand tends to flick the ball as you release it, and it's involved in the shot. That tends to push the ball to the right and to the left as well when you shoot it. And so what we teach, we think it's really solid, and you see a lot of the great shooters will do this. As you come up to shoot, this other hand, we call it the assist hand, releases, and it's a one-handed shot. And when that hand releases, it doesn't have to drop. But if you like to watch Steph Curry as he releases, the hand just merely pulls away as you finish the shot. And usually the shot is a lot straighter than it is when you have the other hand involved in the finish of that stroke.
I mean, it falls away. It shouldn't even be an influence when it gets to the release point.
And what happens, though, is that thumb on that other hand usually is involved in making the ball go one direction or the other. Now, here's something that's important, too, is go look at our video on how to fix your shot. We've got those in there and help you, too.
Yeah, okay. Let's get back to these questions over here. Actually, there was a question up here on the Q&A app, and this is from Hello, who says, I need help improving my handles. Okay, well, go check out our videos on YouTube. We have a ton of ball handling videos, attack videos, offensive move videos, and you just need to put in the time and effort to work on them. There's no secret to any of that stuff.
A couple of things that will help most everybody, and that is when you dribble the ball, make sure you dribble it hard.
Pound it.
Yeah, you want to pound it. And in fact, we talk to players about abusing the basketball when they dribble it. And what you find there is the ball becomes more responsive to what you want it to do. And the other thing that's real important is that when you pound that ball hard into the floor, it comes back to that same dribble hand or the opposite hand if you're switching sides, and it tends to stick momentarily in your hand, which gives you a better control of what that ball is going to do. one of the things that we find also with most younger players is that they're very soft with their dribble. And in fact, I had one this morning, and he was very soft and it was very short. He had a dribble that was only about 10 inches high. And I asked him, where in the world do you use that when you play basketball? And he kind of grinned and said, well, I don't think I do. And I said, well, why are we spending time on it then? Get the ball to an area where this is what you're going to be doing in a game. Now, I'm not against dribbling low, but I think that everything that we do in this game, as far as learning and teaching and whatnot, has to be utilitarian. Utilitarian in my mind means this: it is useful in what we're going to do when we go out on the court. So we pound the basketball. We want to make sure that anything that goes from side to side is low and quick. And those are things that I think will really help you in developing your handles.
Yeah.
And spend time.
I mean, game application is very important on this stuff. Okay, this one's from Aiden Goddard. He says, 6 foot 8th grader, going to be a freshman. I think I can make the JV/varsity freshman year. I can shoot and I'm good inside. And when I'm inside, if I'm open, I can dunk. What should I show more of? Okay.
Show that you can play basketball.
Yeah. Okay. Dunking is almost doesn't matter at all.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you can do it. Great. It's 2 points. Coaches are not interested in that. What they're interested in are players that are can execute and are effective and are versatile, and they can do all the things that are required of skills, but they can also do these things that are kind of more kind of personality traits as well. So things that you can do are be a well-rounded player that can do everything. You can shoot, you can attack, you can play defense, you can rebound, you can pass. I mean, all those things you need to be good at. And then do kind of the less talked about things, like show leadership skills, show effort, take initiative. I mean, there's a ton of things you can do. Go check out our video on how to make the team.
That was going to be my comment too. I think that is capsulized in that video.
I mean,
make the team.
I mean, I think a lot of young people think, oh, dunking is like the apex of what coaches are looking at. Coaches do not care. It's 2 points.
Yeah. Well, so they may use it from time to time, but the upshot of it is you don't see that much dunking generally in high school basketball.
Well, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
I mean, go look at people in the NBA. There's a good number of those guys who never dunk or can't dunk, and they're in the NBA. So don't worry about it. It's more about you being an effective player that can execute, and having these other attributes are way more important than dunking. We get a little frustrated with people because they put such an emphasis on it. It's great if you can do it. It's great if you have the opportunities to do it. Just don't invest so much in it that it's like that's the only thing that you're thinking about. Yeah. It's really, I mean, you get more points from shooting a 3-pointer. So maybe that's something you should work more on is your shooting.
But be a well-rounded player.
Yeah. Okay.
A well-rounded player.
Spock's Venom Viper asks, can you help me improve my shooting? Yes. Go check out our YouTube videos and get to work. I mean, that's really the bottom line.
Yeah.
Let's see. This one is from Mr. Freezer891, who says, what drills/workouts can I do to prevent the ball from being stripped when I drive into the basket? Well, you need to work more on protecting the ball, and you can do that through using your body is kind of like the biggest thing that you can do. Put yourself between the defender and the ball and use that to shield when you attack the basket, when you go up for your shot. I mean, that's really kind of the key there.
There's another very important key in this too, is that if you're driving to the basket and you're being stripped, and you're being stripped by somebody other than the person that you're playing against, you've driven into a crowd.
Yeah,
that's not a smart thing to do. And so one of the questions that somebody wrote me yesterday was, how do I know when to drive and where to drive? Well, it's impossible for me to tell you where and when, but you have to recognize when there's openings. If there is only you and your player as you attack the basket, then you probably are going to be pretty good shape. If you drive into a situation where there's help defense right there in front of you, you're probably going to have a lot of trouble. And one of the things that we teach there is this: if you get caught in that situation and you can't get to the basket, you don't force that situation necessarily. You jump stop, and then we've got a series of moves that we teach to help you finish at the basket.
Okay, this one is from Oscar Navarro, who says, I'm really good when I practice, but not in an actual game. Okay, go watch our video called I'm Making Practice, Missing Game.
Yeah.
And we talk about why that is. And, you know, it kind of comes down to the 3 pillars of practice too. Maybe we'll talk about that at some point.
You mean today?
Yeah.
Like we do every week?
Well, I mean, we can talk about it right now. Let's just do it.
No.
Let's just do it. Okay. First pillar of practice is diligent, slowed down, very concise work on developing your actual skill or the mechanics of the skill. So in shooting, that would be like doing the form shooting drill and just working meticulously on, okay, here's the footwork, here's the shooting motion, and you're just breaking everything down. Second pillar is applying that and doing it at game speed, game intensity. So maybe you add in a defender, maybe you add in kind of more dynamics where you're running after the ball like you're going to catch it off a pass, you're going off the dribble, but everything is at the speed and intensity of a game. And then after you work on that, you're going to do the third pillar, which is getting game experience, and you're applying all the things you did in the first and second pillar and putting that into actual playing, whether that's pickup games, traveling team games, school games, or whatever. It's just kind of getting that that repetition in while actually playing. And you do all of these things all the time. And so that you're always kind of polishing and working on things and making sure that when you are doing the game speed, game intensity stuff, you're making it as if you are in a game, so that when you're in a game, you've actually done these things before with that kind of pressure and stuff like that. And the conditioning is there and all that. So that's kind of the best way to make sure that when you get into an actual game, you're actually kind of prepared for it.
Yeah, you're prepared. Yeah.
A lot of times, you know, people are great in practice, but are they actually shooting at game speed or game intensity? Are they going up against actual defense? Are they, you know, actually doing things that they've done before? I mean, that's like the real key is kind of preparing yourself for it. Okay, this one is from Justin Koyu Sai, who says, I'm 6 foot and I feel like my threes don't have any power and kind of come short. Any tips?
Yes. When you're shooting a three-pointer and you're using a set shot, usually it's because you have not connected the leg to your shot. And we call that a two-part shot, where you extend the legs, there's this moment of hesitation, and then the arms go. And usually those shots are short and flat. They don't reach the basket. And you can feel the lack of power when you shoot them. And you can feel that lack of power at just about the moment you're ready to release the ball, because there is no power, not enough power there. And so what we teach everybody is that we teach the one-part shot, which is as you begin to extend the legs, the shot is already on its way before you finish the leg extension. That way you catch the power. And that usually will really help you a lot. Now, if you're shooting a jump shot and you're having the same kind of problem, that usually is a problem with the fact that you jump and you hold the ball at the top, and you've reached the top of your jump and you still haven't started the shot, and you're starting to settle back to the floor. And when you shoot it, there will not be enough power to get it there. And so on a jump shot, what you want to do is you want to be releasing the basketball as you reach the top of your jump.
Yeah.
That's when you get that power from the leg thrust on the jump.
So connect your legs to the rest of your body. It's all about having a fluid connected mechanics. And then the second part is actually using your lower body to generate the power.
Well, yeah, and delivering the ball on time. That is key. Don't hold it at the top.
Okay, so let's see here. This is from Sammy Garulas, who says, hey, Coach, what do you think is the best way to practice hook shots? Thank you. The best way to practice hook shots is by working on them, using the 3 pillars of practice.
Yeah.
You got to do the diligent pillar. You need to do the game speed, game intensity, and then actually use it in a game. I mean, there's no specific drill other than actually doing it. I mean, it's just one of those things you have to work on.
Yeah.
You can do form shooting with your hook shot. I mean, that's basically what it is.
Exactly.
Okay. This is from Justin again, who says, hey, Coach, any tips on blocks or defensive tips to get steals and help side blocks? Yes, go check out our video on how to block shots. And, you know, I will say this too, is that you need to focus less on blocking shots and more on just contesting shots.
Yes.
Because if you're going up to block shots, especially if you're not a shot blocker or have that body type, then you're going to find yourself getting tons of fouls. And that's not really the way to go. Contest shots, make it real difficult on those guys that you're going up against. Now, actually, number one, don't let them catch the ball.
Yeah.
That's how you prevent them from doing anything. But contest the shot. If you're able to block the shot, make sure you go straight up and you're not bringing your arm down or jumping into their body, but you go straight up, and it's more about contesting the shot than actually blocking it. If you're able to get your fingers on it and redirect it a little bit, that's great. But if you start bringing your hand down on that guy, you're going to get called for a foul almost every time. And then the other part is you're talking about getting steals. Most steals happen when you pick off a pass or anticipate a pass, not so much by reaching in or grabbing at the ball, because if you do that, you're probably going to get called for a reaching foul. So learn to anticipate, learn to kind of pick off in the passing lanes, things like that. That's going to be more where you pick up steals, right?
Yeah, it is. And, if you're going to be reaching for the ball, always reach from underneath and flipping the ball out from the underneath
But
side.
don't be a reacher. I mean, that's the worst thing to do.
If you are in that situation where you're going in, go from the underneath side. You're very less likely to be called for a foul than you are if you're coming down on top of the ball, because usually their wrist and hand will be on top.
Okay, this is from Rube. Okay, I don't understand what your name is, but it's let's say Rubia. It says, how can I get accuracy with the shots? Accuracy comes from repeatability and kind of having your mechanics where they should be, to where every time you shoot it, it's the same. And repeatability kind of breeds accuracy, which is what you need to work towards. Really? And having the proper mechanics really helps. So if you have the right release and all that stuff, but doing it over and over and over again, that's where it comes from. Ethan Woshich has a question. What finger do you believe should be in the middle of the ball? Depends on what part of the shot you're talking about. If you're talking about the set point, we don't necessarily think that there's a finger that goes right in the middle of the ball, but we have more of a thought that you should go up having the yoke when you have your set point, right? And so when you go up, you're not trying to force your hand behind the ball like this, because that puts a lot of stress and tension on your elbow and in your forearm. So what you want to do is kind of have a more open hand like this, and we call it a yoke because you can kind of see like a Y shape right here as you hold the ball. And as you go up, your hand starts to turn over. I don't know if you guys can see it, but your hand starts to turn over. And when you finish, the ball should come off the first and second finger, like the index and middle finger like this, as you release the ball.
You will find probably at the release that the index finger will or should be in the middle of the ball at the release point.
Yeah. But when you're in the set point, it's not as clear. We like to go for the yoke. We don't like to force the hand back behind. That's not a good way to go. Let's see. Nicola Namoski is asking how to become consistent at the free throw line. Is it only the number of taken free throws at gym or technique? It's both. You have to have the proper form, shooting form and technique, and then you have to consistently work on it. Repetition, and make sure that it's there. And also, one of the things that a lot of people don't do is that they don't shoot their free throws or work on their free throws during different periods of their conditioning. So, somebody might come into the gym and work on their shooting when they first get there and they're fresh and they're feeling good. But then when they are at the end of their practice or end of their training, they don't go in and shoot more free throws or along the way. So when you get deep into the fourth quarter of game, you've never really been to that point of fatigue or anything, or mental fatigue or anything like that, and you can't make anything because you haven't been there before.
Right.
So you need to make sure that you're working on free throws kind of all throughout your conditioning and practice, because that is only going to help you when you are actually playing a game, because it applies to how you play a game. Let's see here. This one is from Christian LeBoy, who says, how can you get aim on a three-pointer, on a three-point shot like Curry? Okay, well, we like to teach shooting towards the nest. When you're shooting, you should be focusing kind of on the imaginary bullseye in the middle of the rim. We don't like to say shoot for the back rim or shoot for the front rim or any of that stuff, because if you do actually hit those points, you are going to miss the shot. You should kind of have a soft focus on what is in the middle of the rim. And you can think about taking a dartboard and just laying it on top of the rim. You're aiming for that spot. right there in the middle. That's where if you hit that, the ball is going to go in pretty much no matter what, because it's not going to hit anything. So we call that the nest. And that's right where you want to put the ball.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where you look up there, you have to think more three-dimensionally when you're aiming at something like that. But if you're throwing a dart at that dartboard, you're not imagining, okay, I'm going to hit it at the back rim or I'm going to hit the front rim. No, you are actually lofting that thing up, and you know that you're still aiming for that spot right in the middle of the dartboard. Same thing is true with the basketball. You got to kind of think that way.
Yeah, and some people, they'll get to us and they say, well, I can't really focus on anything that big, or the fact that this is all open space. Well, it is open space in the middle of the net, but it has this orange or red rim all the way around it that would make it easy to focus on it.
All right, JJ Buckets is saying, how can I hype my team up and keep it going when getting back into a game after being down?
Well, the thing that can hype them up or get them going is possibly how hard you're willing to play to set an example. One of the things that happens, and you hear and see this all the time in basketball games, is this person came in and he energized the team. Well, how did he energize them? Well, he energized them with the energy that he brings on the floor, the commitment to play as hard as he possibly can. I mean, that in itself can maybe get other people going so that they see the effect of it. It is positive. I want to play like him. And so everybody kind of buys into it when you set that example.
And the other thing is that you need to play in the present. A lot of people either play kind of thinking about the past or thinking about what's going on in the future. That'll stress you out and psych you out. You need to just worry about the here and now. And if you do that, you're going to be in really good shape. I mean, think about a team like the Rockets. They were down 3-1 against the Clippers. Do you think that they're sitting there worrying about the fact that if we lose this game, we're done? They're worrying about, we're winning this game. We're gonna do this right now. And they're not worried about, we need to win 3 in a row to do it.
Yeah.
They're worried about, okay, we're going to win this next game. That's what we're going to do. And if you go up and you miss a shot, or you guys are not putting down the shots, you're seriously going to worry about those shots that you've already missed? You have no control over what happened then,
sure,
but you do have control over what's happening right now. So play in the here and now, worry more about that, and be positive, like you were saying.
And set an example for everybody.
Okay, this one's from Keith Dimech, who says, is it normal to change my type of shot when making free throws? In a normal jump shot, I have a 2-motion shot, and a free throw, I have a 1-motion shot. Is it normal? Watching from Malta. Malta, I think that's a new one.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Keith, I would say you need to work more on having a fluid 1-motion shot. I know that there's people out there that are talking about these different types of shots, 1-motion and 2-motion shot. For us, when we talk about a 1-motion shot, it means everything is connected from the feet to the finish.
Exactly.
So that when you are going up, there's not a sticking point between where your power is coming from your legs and where your finesse and accuracy is coming from when you deliver the ball on the finish. Everything is one fluid motion. Same thing should be true on your free throws as is true for your jump shot.
Exactly. Or your set shot, any of those. Yeah.
Because, if you should not have different types of shots for different things that you do.
Yeah.
Everything should be the same shooting motion. Maybe you do go up into a jump on your jump shot, but it should essentially be the same thing as your set shot, which is the same thing as your free throw.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So work on having everything connected and making sure that when you go up, there's no sticking points. It's, maybe it's in your legs. We don't know. Maybe it's where you bring the ball. Everything should be one fluid shot. And that's one of the reasons why Steph Curry is able to get his shot off so fast.
Well, and Thompson both.
It's not because they're rushing anything.
No.
Maybe they rush their feet and everything, but they are so efficient with it. Everything is one fluid motion as they go up. There's no sticking points. There's no bringing the ball back. There's none of that. Everything is one fluid motion. They're efficient. They're not rushing.
Yeah. And they get the ball off so quickly.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that it's efficient. They're not rushing their release.
Right.
Because if you do that, you're gonna sacrifice your accuracy. Okay, this one is from. We got to do lightning round. We got like 5 minutes left here. Okay, let's see. Short questions or short answers to all these questions.
All right, I'll try. I will try.
Let's see. This one is from Daniel Shijakovsky, who I think sent this as a tweet as well. He says, as a pick and roll ball handler, what do you look for first when you come off the screen? Is it the roll man, the weak side corner, your own shot, blah, blah, blah? Okay. you look for what is the best opportunity.
Exactly. When you come off, you have a pretty good sense if
You got to
you've played
read.
for a little while, what the defense is doing or what their tendencies are, and sometimes you'll find that out through a game scouting report. You find out on the uh, coming off the screen, they'll give you a hard hedge. Others will give you a soft hedge and stay very kind of flat and low. Others will hang back. And so as you come off of it, you're looking to see where they are. If they're hanging back, shot's gone.
Okay, but here's the thing you should always have in your mind. When you have the ball in your hands, you are always the first option.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean that necessarily you are the one that's going to do it. But if you have the ball in your hands, your first option, your shot, you're looking for that first. If somebody else that you see while you're reading this and it all happens in a split second,
Sure.
they have a better opportunity, you need to get them the ball.
Yep.
So while you're doing these pick and rolls, you need to be kind of reading what's going on.
Yep.
And of course, if you had the ball in your hands, you are the first option because you're the priority. If you're open and you have the shot, you should take it, because if you are passing the ball or doing anything else with the ball, that's a risk.
Yep.
And if you don't have to take the risk and you have the opportunity, then go for it. If your opportunity is not as good as somebody else's opportunity or something that's kind of unfolding, then you need to let that happen.
One of the things that I'll just kind of add to that is that if you're using a screen and attack kind of game plan, you need to do a lot of that in practice so you learn to recognize those situations.
All right, this is from the Lord Sean, lightning round. Any tips for dealing with bad teammates? I play point guard and only have about 3 good teammates on my school team. I'm from Ireland, so there isn't much focus on basketball. We train once a week for an hour. Me and 3 others train 3 times a week because we play for a club. Edit, we have to play every person on the team for at least 1 quarter. Well, okay, I mean, the thing is that you can only do what you can do. And if you and those guys are kind of working together and being kind of the go-to players, that's what you need to do. Set examples for the other guys on the team, be positive, and maybe they'll kind of fall in line with what you're doing. Otherwise, maybe you need to look for another place to play. And I know you're saying from Ireland and it's not really that super popular, but get online, see if there's a traveling team you can go play for, see if there's camps or other opportunities.
Well, it says you're playing for a club team.
I know, but it doesn't mean that that's the only thing that's your option.
Yeah.
Maybe start a new one. I mean, you got to be creative. Make it happen for you. I mean, you're the only person that can really do it.
Well, the other thing is work with those people who are not so strong. Maybe you can help them get better.
But you have to be positive. You
Yeah.
can't be, pedantic at people and expect them to fall in line. Okay, this one's from Sheila Distel, who says, should I work out during basketball season? To a degree. I mean, you don't want to do stuff that's going to affect you the following day if you have a game or whatever like that. I like to think that if you're going to play or practice, that you work out after all that stuff, because you don't want your shooting to be affected by any kind of physical exertion or muscle fatigue that you had after you do your workouts. So you have to be a little bit cautious and weigh what's going on, because you need a day or two to recover no matter what you do. So you don't want to, work on doing legs and squats or whatever, and then go and play your game the next day. And that's not going to be a good scene. Let's see. We're going to do a couple quick ones here. Mohammedine Assad says, how can I be quick in basketball? I'm 6'6", 215. I want to be quick, but I'm slow. Anything, please. Work on footwork drills. Develop your athleticism. Check out our vertical jump videos in the vertical jump handbook, because that kind of covers all of athleticism. And go check out Alan Stein's channel, Stronger Team. This one's from, let's see, Vinbuska C asks, how important is finger placement consistency in a shot? Consistency on any part of your shooting is important.
Yep.
If you're inconsistent, your shooting will be inconsistent.
Absolutely.
P_P92 says, what should I teach my young students first, tactics or shots? Thanks for great videos and greetings from Germany.
All right.
You need to teach them kind of fundamentals first, get the mechanics going, and then you can kind of start to get them into the flow of games and things like that, right?
Yeah, it's almost impossible to teach young people how to play anything without the skill development first. And an awful lot of that goes on in all sports, certainly in basketball. You need to be able to dribble the ball. You got to be able to shoot the ball. You got to be able to defend. And those things you have to learn first before you move off and start playing games.
Right. This one's from 06070. Says, I have a lot of problems in one-on-one defense situations. How can I improve in that area? You got to get all of your skills kind of to the level where you feel confident in them. So that's working on all the offensive skills that maybe we have, the dribble attacks, the hammer, the long one-on-one. Go check out our offensive moves playlist. And you're talking about defense. Work on our defense 101 stuff.
Defense 101 would be great stuff. Yeah.
Make sure that you learn to beat the guy to the spots. Stay on your feet. It's still really about footwork, really.
Well, it is. And one of the things that we talk about is keeping that person between your legs, between your knees. And if you move your feet well enough with your slides and whatnot, and you keep that person centered between your legs, it's going to be hard for them to go by you.
All right, here's the last two questions real quick. This one's from Pax Gucci, who says, any specific drills to get my fitness to peak condition? Yes, go check out our vertical jump handbook and the vertical jump videos that we have. Work on all of those things. Work on also jump rope. Work on interval training. So doing things like suicides. And if you have like a track, maybe sprint the straights, walk the curves. Just think about what applies specifically to basketball conditioning. It's going to be intense periods of higher intensity paired with low intensity, because you're sprinting and you're stationary, you're sprinting, you're stationary, things like that.
Yeah, and most of your sprinting in basketball are short sprints. They're 15 to 20 yards.
You're not doing endurance training.
No.
Okay, last question. This one's from This one's from Adam CC, who says, how do I build confidence driving with my non-dominant hand after I become comfortable using my non-dominant hand to dribble? You just got to do it. Do the 3 pillars of practice. Sounds like you've done the first pillar. Now you need to work on the second pillar, which is game speed, game intensity work. Get the defense in there, work on kind of game situations, and then apply it into your actual game. And, maybe you have to force yourself to do it and say, okay, this time I'm going to go this way while you're working on it in practice and stuff. If you do that more and more, you're going to just naturally do it when you get into a game.
Yeah, and I think an awful lot of young players stay away from things they don't feel very confident with. You got to take a chance. The thing that I think is real important, and I tell my students all the time, is that we can teach you how to do all this stuff, but if you never make an attempt to use it, then you're never going to be successful. You have to take and learn how to do these different kind of things, and then you've got to take it to the game, take it to the court, and try it. What if you fail? Well, every time we do something athletic, we start learning by failure. That's the first sequence usually. We start to learn how to do left-hand layups. We fail. Oh, there's one that's good. We fail. Then there's more of the good ones that start to show up. Don't be afraid to fail, because failure is going to lead you to success eventually.
Okay, I want to do this last question.
All right.
This one is from Eric Urbantrot, who says, I'm heading into freshman year as a 5'11", 165 forward center, but the other post players are 6 foot to 6'6". I'm also doing an explosiveness lifting program over the summer. Any tips with this situation would be great. P.S. There is a 40+ kids trying out. Should I just stick to hard over height? I'm stumped. Thanks for reading this. Okay. Number one is forget about height, forget about physical attribute advantages and all that stuff. You have advantages over those guys that you might not be aware of. You might be quicker, you might be craftier, you might have be more skilled. But the fact of the matter is that if you're worried about them being taller and that's psyching you out, you've already taken yourself out of the game. If you're working on trying to out jump them and all that stuff, and just thinking that's going to help you, that's not true either. I mean, that's part of the maybe the mix that you might want to have in there. I would say be careful with any kind of lifting programs because you're so young, it doesn't make any sense. What will really work is kind of getting your technique to where it needs to be. And we saw it last night when Steph Curry boxed out Dwight Howard and he was able to get the rebound. He gives up, 8 or 9 inches to that guy and 100 pounds. If you have the right technique, you can neutralize all of these things. I mean, there's reasons why Charles Barkley, who's, on a good day, he's 6'6". He's out there rebounding everybody that's 7 feet tall, 6'11", whatever. Same thing is true with Dennis Rodman. He was not a huge tall guy either. And there's even guys in the NBA now that are just they know how to use their body, they know how to use their technique, they have the right footwork. All of those things are going to be better for you. But think about your height being an advantage. Okay, you're 5'11", but you're quicker than those guys. You're more agile.
You block out better.
Maybe you out hustle those guys.
You out hustle them. Yeah.
Run down this floor, make them sprint after you. You'll tire them out. I mean, you need to take advantage of what you have, because you can't do anything about your height. That is just what it is. Right?
Yep.
Work on your shot. If you have a good shot, pull them away from the basket. I mean, there's so many things you can do. All right. But the key is don't psych yourself out. Be positive. All right. So that's going to do it.
Thanks, guys.
So you guys, you can find us here every weekend, Sunday, 1 p.m. Pacific time. We have a new topic every weekend. Make sure that you share with your friends and family to get more people watching the show. Send us your questions. If you have questions during the week, you can reach us on all of our social media sites. On Twitter, we are at Shot Science. You can follow us on Facebook, Google+, Twitter. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Snapchat, where we have new stuff all the time, pretty much every day, and Instagram. I think that's it.
Yep.
We are everywhere. We are Shot Science. All right. So thanks you guys for watching, and we will see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.